Welcome. My name is Al Rodenburg, and this is a new series of video podcasts introducing entrepreneurs and business owners from all over the world. Today, I'll be visiting with Vikki LeBeau. And Vikki, did I pronounce your last name correctly, Vikki?
Yes, you did. It was perfect. Thank you.
All right, great. After many diets over several years, Vikki was ready to just give up. She had actually met with a bariatric surgeon and was just 3 weeks away from her first consultation regarding bariatric surgery options: gastric bypass, lap band, and gastric sleeve. Before that consultation could take place, Vikki was introduced to a low fat, low carb program. During her meeting, she began learning things that had never been fully explained to her before, and she knew this could be it. Finally, there was a plan that would help her with her weight loss and was available to others that were also struggling with the same issues. During her low fat, low carb program consultation, she finally learned that there was an actual name for her condition: metabolic syndrome. Men and women suffer with this issue and have no idea how to fix it, and unfortunately believe the dated myth: eat less, work out more, which we all know to be true. Really? Is that true? No, I'm just kidding. Uh, all right. So, Vikki, I'm going to mix up the questions a little bit. So, when you were a kid, did you think you would be doing this?
Absolutely not.
All right.
I thought I was going to be a rock star.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Unfortunately, I couldn't sing, so that really was off the mark. So I can't even do karaoke.
But you seem to have the energy.
I've always pretty much been like that. I don't drink coffees, and when I do, it's you can really tell. I just sleep well at night and have a really good time with life. I mean, you only live one day at a time, and you
Right.
never know when those days are up, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how would your family and friends describe you?
Energetic, positive, I hope. This is how they describe me, and a little bit of crazy, which I definitely am. There a lot of times I'll see them go, "Wow, I can't believe you did that," but I do, and I just don't even give it a second thought. What the heck, right? We only live once.
That's true. I've seen your Facebook Live posts, and the word that comes to mind is Energizer Bunny. I guess that's two words, but yeah.
Well, sometimes things come out of my mouth, and I'm just like, I can't believe I said that, but you just got to roll with it.
Well, I think people like having people interact with them that are real, that are not, just reading everything from a script, and I think that's important. So, are you originally from Texas, or where are you from?
I'm actually from Oregon. I
Oh, wow.
graduated from college and knew I wanted to get the heck out of there as soon as possible because it's so cold. It's beautiful, but it's cold. So I
Oh, I
went
thought
to
maybe you
Calif.
liked the politics a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah, that's kind of crazy. We Let's not even go there.
No, 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 no. This is this is
Then I
this is a public
decided,
broadcast. So,
right, and then I moved to California, which was even more crazy. The speed there in California was way too fast for me. Then I pulled up after I got divorced. My dog died. My mom passed away. My dad followed her after that, and I moved to Hawaii.
wow.
So it was great for healing, loved Maui, and I owned a bar for a really long time.
Oh, wow, wow.
So,
And what brought you to Texas?
a big old plane.
Okay,
I,
all right.
I know, I know. I love saying that answer though. My children, they started going to school, and I had a couple incidents at school in the first week where they didn't know where my daughter was, my oldest.
Oh, wow.
And I knew the schools weren't the thing for me there, and I started looking, and I was on a quest to what state I'd move to, and my never in a million years would have thought I'd move to Texas, but I came
Mhm.
and visited, and the kids were opening doors for you, and everybody was so polite, and it was yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and very. I guess I'm part of the Bible Belt. I like that family values,
Right,
so
right.
I picked up and moved my kids to Texas.
Awesome. Well, that's great.
I love it here.
Yeah, me too. But I'm a tennis player, so I just like the availability of playing tennis. Plus the same thing. I mean, I moved here from Chicago 22 years ago, and it's such a different atmosphere. People are friendlier. Sorry for all those of you guys in Chicago. Um, but It is. People are friendly, they're helpful. Even if somebody doesn't know you, they'll stop and help you if you need something. I mean, it's really nice down here.
I remember when my oldest was a baby and I was in Boston. So I think it's the cold. And I'd have a stroller and they would just walk in the door and wouldn't hold the door. I mean, it was just crazy. Here it's like you have a stroller and people are parting the ways to get out of your way and help. And so it's a lot different.
Oh yeah. I met somebody who moved here from Boston. I met her about maybe 7 years ago. She's a realtor. And she said when she first moved here, it was real difficult for her because people would ask her how she was and she was offended. I was like, what? How can you be offended by that question? And
Wow.
so, yeah. So, gosh, I have so many questions I'd like to ask. So, I'm going to ask you the one that'll lead into what you do. What are you passionate about in your life?
Well, so that's an interesting question. I lost passion after my dad. Pretty much, I was an orphan, and I was in my 30s, and then all of a sudden, I decided I was going to have some kids, and God blessed me with two kids, two beautiful daughters. So they are my passion. But here's the deal: I had them in my 40s, and so realistically, if I pass away when my parents did at 65, my kids will be in their 20s. So my passion became I'm going to live to 100.
Oh, yeah. Mine's
And
125. So, yeah.
right on. Well, the Bible says 120, but I didn't want to push him.
Hey, Methuselah, come on, No,
I'll
I'm
be
just
happy
kidding.
with 100. And if we can get to 120, great. And so I decided that I needed to really start taking my health seriously. And do I do it
Mhm.
every single day? No, I'm not perfect. But I do it
We
most of
won't
the
show this
time.
to the people that go to you. So, that's great. I'm just
I
kidding.
do. I try to make the best decisions the most time, and I
Yeah.
feel better when I do. So that's what I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about living longer, but if I live longer and then all my friends don't come with me, that's going to be boring. So that made me want to help them become a little bit more education on making good, better decisions for them.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm passionate about because there's so much misinformation out there of what's right, what's wrong, and
Oh, you
it's
got a little
very
friend
clouded.
there, huh?
Yeah, she's my baby.
Yeah, my cat passed away after 18 years 2 weeks ago, and
Oh,
that was tough.
sorry.
No, I love animals. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
She's attached at my hip right now for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But so that's what I'm passionate about is teaching people the right ways to live longer
Mhm.
and the misconceptions that are out there. So for a very long time, I always thought that if I ate right, I would didn't have to take my vitamins. Well, then I started learning, really truly learning that our food wasn't really doing it all for us. So then I
Right.
started learning about the vitamins for my heart because both my parents passed away of heart disease.
Mhm.
And as I started learning that, I started learning what they were putting in the vitamins that are on the shelves, which was shocking in itself.
Right.
And so I mean, that's not something you're passionate about. You're passionate about what you do. So
Mhm.
I rely on you to do the things that you do, and you rely on me to study the things to help you live longer. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how we all ggurk together and collectively to hopefully make it to 125.
All right. So let's go to how did you have this change in your life? You were weeks away from having some kind of surgery, it sounds like. And then all of a sudden, something happened.
Well, it was definitely a God thing. I had
Mhm.
prayed in church for help because I had
Mhm.
tried all these diets and most of them left me hungry.
Mhm.
I was working out at the same time. The even the trainer was like, "I'm not really sure." I was eating hardly any food. I was starving all the time. It was a horrible experience. And I went to go see a gal for a facial and had the door not opened to the massage therapist right next door. And I saw her because 2 months before we had had this big long conversation about losing weight. She was a bigger lady, bigger than me, tall, bigger, wider. It was shocking. And I was just like, what the heck? And she started telling me about this program that teaches you how to eat. And I was like, I'm not starting another program. That's ridiculous. All the programs are terrible. They don't work. And
Mhm.
she said, no, this one actually teaches you about your food and what foods are good and what foods are bad. I was like, I know what I know all that because I'd done everything. She goes, no, that's what I thought too, because she did everything too. And she says, wait until you go and meet this lady. And so this lady really sat down and taught me how my body worked. So, which is something, by the way, we should learn in school, and we don't. She taught me how my pancreas worked, how my kidneys work, why, the liver is not working properly, all this different stuff. And once it kind of came together in this big picture, I was like, oh my gosh. And then the first week I lost 5 pounds and I was eating more food than I'd ever eaten on any other program in my whole life. I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
well, this is doable. And that's kind of how I got started on the journey. And honest with you, Al, I mean, had I done a business plan, which I'd done for every business I'd ever done in my whole life,
Yeah.
I would have never done this in a million years. I mean, everybody's in the weight loss business and everybody's got an opinion. But for some reason, the big man didn't allow me time. And boom, before I knew it, I was in business. And here I am 9 years later, still living the walk, walking the talk, stumbling along the way and learning as I go.
So you in your intro, you mentioned metabolic syndrome.
Hmm.
Now, what is that?
It can be a multitude of things:
Hmm.
high blood pressure, cholesterol, your middle part being bigger,
Hmm.
digestive systems, IBS. So it's a combination of things where it
Hmm.
slows down your body. So your body basically says, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not going to do anything. And until you actually support your muscles with the right amount of food, proteins, and then you give your body energies, so your body your muscles can actually work properly, you're off. And even though you think you're eating healthy, you're not eating healthy. And you could be eating, I run into folks, and I was perfectly it. I was eating blueberries and apples and nuts and all the things that everybody says healthy, all this
Right.
fat and good healthy fats, I mean, and avocados. And it was too, my body was like, no,
Really?
not
Oh my
working.
gosh. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So especially, and I'll hear a lot of people will say to me, well, I only eat one meal a day. That
Yeah.
could be that could be your problem. And we do now, I do offer DNA testing that will actually tell you, hey, listen, is low fat, low carb good for you? Is keto good for you? Because it might be really good for you, Al, but it
Mhm.
might not be good for somebody else. So I'll be able to tell you which program you should be on, and then all of a sudden you start getting success because your body's able to work better. It's just mind blowing the way technology works nowadays. And again, we should have been taught a lot of this in school.
Yeah. Yeah. People hate me because I eat like 3 or 4 dinners and I don't lose any weight. So but I think I'm a little unusual. But I have a fairly high metabolism at 71 as well. So
Right.
fortunate with
But
that.
have you always been like that?
As I've gotten older, I've actually gotten more energetic, even though I have diabetes and high blood pressure and had high cholesterol. But I take some what I think are pretty good vitamins. And I won't tell who the manufacturer is, but it's a company that's been around for a really long time, and I combine that with my medicines and exercise and playing tennis and just a lot of different things, a lot of different components because
You're
I'm
doing
a
a lot
big
of the right
believer
things.
if you know I remember a weight loss or not a weight loss program but a exercise program, and they talked about cross training. So if you're doing different things all the time, and so I just I walk, I play tennis, just different things.
Right.
But
What's interesting, being in the gym industry for as long as I was, I would see the women come and they'd run on the treadmill for hours, and they'd be
mm,
doing that for a year or 2 years, and they still would look exactly the same. And it wasn't the exercise, it was the food they were eating.
yeah,
So it's got to
yeah,
be a good combination. And that's what happens is a lot of people who think that, hey, listen, if I exercise, I can eat a cheeseburger. Well, your body still has to deal with that cheeseburger.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, you can eat a cheeseburger, but not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Just Saturday nights or something,
Yeah,
right?
just Saturday night, man. Have pizza on Friday, and then be done with it. Eat those veggies. Oh, and that
That's
was
right.
another thing is for me, I was eating all these vegetables and stuff like that. And there's our vegetables nowadays, even our proteins, which is a bummer unless you're doing really organic and good clean. It's all been so wrecked.
Processed. Yeah,
And so people, and I was one of those people. I thought, hey, listen, I'm getting all my vitamins and minerals from everything that I've eaten good because I'm eating good. And that's not true anymore. You got to find yourself a good vitamin supplier. Don't buy your vitamins from Sam's Club, Costco,
Right. Right.
Walgreens.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get
Yeah.
the 2 for 1 or, you know,
Yeah, I've seen
jeez.
those too. Yeah. Um, what would you consider your biggest failure?
Ooh,
Yeah. I like to ask easy questions.
I think throwing in the towel on my marriage.
Hmm.
It was a long time ago that I got divorced.
Mhm.
Gosh, 30 years ago now. Jeez. But I didn't try as hard as I was young and I wasn't ready to have kids. And he was. And so that was just kind of I didn't really try to work that out. I was kind of like, well, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I have 2 amazing children now, and I'm single. So that worked out good. But he was a great guy, and so I recognize that, and if I ever meet somebody like him again, I'm in, but, those great guys are far and few between.
Yeah.
So I enjoy being single now. I'm really close with God and my kids and obviously my kitty cat right here, so
There you go. So that's kind of leading into where I wanted to go next. Work-life balance, de-stressing, relieving stress. How do you deal with those things? Because you're a very energetic person. You got a lot of stuff going on. How do you balance things and how do you relieve stress?
so it's interesting, man. I feel like this week has just been, whew, kind of wild. This question has come up so much.
Hmm.
It really kind of happened when I built this house. I rushed ahead and I didn't listen. And there was so many signs telling me not to do what I did. And then I continued to rush forward with the stress of it all.
Yeah.
And about halfway through, I was driving home and I could feel the compression in my chest. And
Mhm.
somebody called a friend, and he was just like, "Hey, listen, man, let's pray." And so I pulled over, and the prayer was so just just so calming. The serenity prayer sort of mixed in with his words,
Right.
and there was nothing I could do to change it. It is what it is. I just have to move forward. I cannot change the past.
Right.
And that day kind of transformed everything. And then what happened was I started looking at things differently. And
Mm.
so from that moment on, it was almost like, okay, what is it today in store for me? And every day I wake up, it's like, okay, great, here we go. I got
Yeah.
another day to accomplish
Right.
something super cool. Is every day going to be amazing? No. But what am I going to learn from that? And if I can live every
Right.
day
Right.
that way, it's so much better. And I since that day, I never felt that heaviness in my heart ever again. And it was so heavy and hard and tight, I could barely breathe. And as soon as I pulled back on the freeway, I was like, wow. And I remember stress sometimes so bad my ears would be ringing.
Mhm.
So now
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
pull away, take a minute. I try to tell folks all the time, sometimes we get so wrapped up in praying and asking and doing and busy stuff that we don't take time. Even people will say, well, I pray in the morning or I pray at night. Sometimes you have to take time, and even if 30 seconds, to say, okay, thanks for helping me through that. Can you help me through the next part of the day? And then
Right.
listen to what he says instead of just moving on. And that's I work on that every day. Listen. Just stop and listen.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yes.
Hey, I've been there. I used to pray and I would think that God was on my side, right? And so I'd do what I was going to do that I thought God said it was okay to do. And it'd be a total, I can't say this on a public recording, but it'd be a mess, right? And I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? And so then in the last 20 years, I've kind of learned more about how to pray, number one, because just because I want something, that doesn't mean I need that.
Right. Or it's even the best for you.
God knows what we need, right? And when we
Hmm.
need it. And the listening part. Oh, wow. That, yeah.
Yeah, because the house, I definitely didn't listen. I mean, I'm still dealing with it today, and what's so funny is, like, he reminds me of it. Now it's almost a joke. I'm like, "Okay, okay, look from it." Like, "You guys, I'm gonna be selling my house, by the way. It's
Okay.
time for me to move on." He's given me all the signs, and it's funny because people will say to me, "Where are you gonna go?" I have no idea. I'm packing up my stuff, and where I end up is where I'm gonna end up, and that's crazy to say that at 60 years old, isn't it?
No, not really. I mean, well, we could spend like hours. I could tell you my stories, but that's for another time. I'm going to start a story channel, I think, on my YouTube channel about all
Do
that.
it, it will be fun.
Oh, yeah, and maybe I'll have to wait till some people die first before I can tell the stories. But um,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
so, what question have I not asked you that you wish I would have asked you?
I that You should prep me on these. I
Well, that's the
actually
whole
don't
point.
really.
It's just spontaneous, right? All right. So, if you had all the money in the world, didn't have to worry about money, what would you do?
Well, I saw this really cool yacht. I s It was made out of gold. It was like 400 billion dollars by some.
Oh, you mean Putin's yacht?
No, it
No,
was
I'm just
some
kidding.
Arab fella,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
so I'd like to start there. That would be fun traveling. I love being in the water, so I
Oh,
would
do
do
you?
that, and I would definitely take my friends and all my friends and all my kids, my kids with me. So it wouldn't be any fun without them.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Um, yeah, I know. I've thought about that sometimes, and I guess I'll wait until I have it to know what to do with it. But no,
Right.
I like libraries. When I was a kid, I would be in libraries all the time, and I think that learning is such a big issue in our society because if you look at what the schools are teaching, and I play tennis up here in the woodlands with people that are from other countries, and they're so appalled at some of the education that kids get in our systems today. And then you look at what goes on in Japan or China or places outside of our little conclave here in the U.S., and it's a lot more intense.
Well, I feel that the older that I get, the less I believe in our school system.
Hmm.
I feel, even this last 2 years, my younger daughter went to school here at the house because I just feel that you can learn more being of the world instead of in school.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think more people need to be of the world instead of just get bogged down in their jobs and schooling, and I think the internet changed our world completely, and not for the better. I felt everybody's like, "Oh, we're going to be more connected." We're further apart than we ever have been. So I
yeah.
truly believe that getting out, sitting at a campground, sitting at a, at a on a beach, talking with people, and I don't see that anymore. I used to be able to go to the beach, and by the time we were done, we know everybody's sitting there. Now people are not. They're not
That's right.
connected. They're just, even when you're in a group, it's. I went to a campground and was watching everybody at the tables, and while I was sitting there listening to the music, 50% of them were on their phones. It's like, wow, we're not connected anymore.
I saw a TV show. I think it was Blue Blood, where they at the Sunday dinner table they said, "Okay, put your phones in a box. You don't get to have phones at this table."
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really good idea. Well,
Wouldn't
Vicky,
it be
I've been.
cool
Go
if you
ahead. No.
walked in your house and you just had to put your phone in your house? Remember back in the day? I remember I broke my nose. I was seventh grade, and it took like 3 hours for them to finally get my dad because he was out on the ranch. They
Oh
literally
wow.
had to drive out, go get him, and that's old school, and people were way more connected back then.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was much more personal, and Oh, I know one other question I wanted to ask you. What have you found the most helpful in your networking experience? Because you're a big networker, I think, aren't you? I mean, you do a lot of things. You've been involved with. Weren't you involved with the Chamber of Commerce recently?
So thank you for asking me that. That's a really good question. When I was in my building, my 5,000 square feet, I networked a lot. I was part of a lot of different groups, and I had somebody challenge me to be more active on Facebook. And I didn't want to do that because I felt like it just didn't. And then they made an analogy and said, when you leave this meeting, you've been in a meeting with 25 people, but you hit that button on Facebook and
Mhm.
you're in front of 2,500 people. So
Right.
which would you prefer? How would you better spend your time? So I backed out, started backing out of some of those networking groups and stuff. And then I became really isolated in my little office. Well, not little, that big office. And I decided to start the Woodlands Holistic Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
That was amazing. So I'd go to this meeting of all these people that had all these things that I'd never even heard of before,
Mhm.
all trying to better their health, their mental health. And some of it was kind of weird,
Mhm.
but it was still very interesting. And I still learned from them. And then after that, I decided, well, I'm going to move into a smaller space. Well, I picked this space called The Grove. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but a bunch of women, and actually Lori got it started. And it's a one building. There's like 8 offices, and then there's a group that comes and works out of there. It's just like a shared office space, but women mostly only.
Hmm.
And the women there are awesome because they want everybody to succeed, instead of a lot of times you'll have people that they it's all about going to these meetings for them.
Right.
And
Right.
this is totally different. And so that's why the holistic chamber, it works just like that. How can we help each other? And that's how this grove is too. And so
Hmm.
I've really cut back on my networking a lot. And honestly, the alignable was new, and I'm supporting Rashid. I love him. He's a great guy. But what's really cool is there's people like you in there too. So now I'm part of 3 groups. The alignable is coming along, and the holistic chamber is still in its only second year, the beginning of its second year. And then the grove, there's 3 office spaces open there too. If you guys would like to come down and check it out,
Okay.
there's a big
Where's it,
conference
where's it
room.
located?
It's right off Nursery Road and Booty Road. And so
Okay.
if you did like a seminar or something and you wanted to rent the little space there out front, it's nicely decorated. You would love it there. You should come check it out. Men rent there too and everything.
Okay. Sounds good.
So yeah, that's kind of where I've gone with networking. I've become more precise in
More
my
focused.
networking.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, Vicky, I've enjoyed visiting with you, and you're a joy to spend some time with, and we really appreciate it. Hopefully, lots of people will see this video and get to know you better. So,
That'd be
thank you.
great. And they can always schedule an appointment with me at the Grove, and we spend some time together and get to know each other even better if they'd like.
And what's your website, by the way, if people are trying to get a hold of you?
It's really easy. It's TLD, which means teach, learn, and dedicate online.us. So
Oh,
TLD online.us.
okay. I was going to say, isn't it Texas Last Diet?
It was, but everybody was like, oh, I don't want to go, especially during COVID. I don't want to be on a diet. I'm like, okay, how about we just teach you, learn you, and dedicate you to some good eating instead of all this other stuff.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thanks so much, Vicky. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Al. Me too. You have a
You
wonderful day.
you too.